When it comes to the media, well, if it's somebody who's rich or is in a house, then the media will generally look at both sides of it. When you're homeless, though, you don't matter. You are automatically assumed to be wrong, automatically assumed to be guilty. And the cruelty that ensues, well, it shouldn't happen to anyone. As far as the case of Natalie Bollinger goes, they found her killer. His name is Joseph Michael Lopez. I'm going to give you some history on her, though. Natalie Bollinger, when I first met her, I didn't even know her name. I didn't bother to get to know her name. There was a woman named Janine Parrish, and her son was high school age. I hung out with Janine, and those young women hung out with, well, Derek. Not necessarily Derek, mostly Maddie Boa, and Maddie Boa was friends with Derek. It's Derek Parrish. I found out years later, see, there was a guy named Emery and a guy named Arturo. And Natalie and her sister were about 13 or 14. And each one of them was in a sleeping bag with one of those boys. Oh, these aren't boys, these are grown men. And they shouldn't have been there. So, I let them know that they needed to go home. And I didn't see them again for years. Then I saw them one day. I was sitting over just off of Pearl Street in an alley, right next to Broadway at a bank, and Natalie and Alicia Bollinger walked by. And, well, they were pretty insistent on giving me their phone numbers, or not their phone numbers, but their Facebook information. Told me to hit them up. And the two men that they were with looked like they were, well, they were quite a bit older, I'm sure. Well, it turned out that Alicia and Natalie were only 17 at the time. And I didn't know that, but I sent them messages on Facebook, like they had asked. And 8 months later, Natalie finally got back to me. That's because she looked my name up. She was 18 by that point, and that's when we first started hanging out. Now, her and her sister were addicted to heroin. In 2016, she sent me a email about her dad, Ted Bollinger. What a piece of shit he is. Now, a lot of situations happened. We were going to meet up at her request on several occasions before she left for Virginia. It just never happened. And then when she got to Virginia, she was suicidal as fuck over the way that her family was treating her. So, I did as she asked. She called me one night. I was already about 2 months late from when we had planned on me getting there. And she called me up one night and told me if I wasn't already on the way, she was going to kill herself. And then a few hours later, she drove her vehicle into a tree. This was a friend of mine, people. Now, when I went to Virginia, there was a big fucked up situation, and right before that situation, I had actually helped to move Jamie Curtis out of the place that she was staying. She was telling me that she was getting beaten up, and so I did as she asked, and then I continued my journey to Virginia. In Virginia, Alicia Bollinger wanted me to stay close enough that they could visit me. She was trying to get me to move into an apartment up there and find an apartment. And they helped me get a job. They invited me to Virginia Beach, and they invited me to the pagoda in Norfolk, and they invited me to Elliot's Coffee Grounds. Now, on my birthday, that was the Elliot's Coffee Grounds. I was severely dehydrated. And I've already posted up the evidence about that, the hospital paperwork. And, sorry, my hands are cold. The fact is, I was having a severe panic attack. I didn't know anybody else there. The whole situation was screwed up. Natalie was going to meet up with me. The phone that I had gotten from Alicia wasn't working right. I couldn't make it work. So, a lot of bullshit came after that. A lot of it. I got stuck in the road. And the vehicle I got stuck in the road with, I got from David and Laura Nelson. Now, it had some issues that David and Laura Nelson will admit to. Like the steering column coming completely loose and free-floating. Doesn't do anything. Anyway, they accused me of stalking them, which was an outright lie. By the time I got back to Boulder, which is where I knew them from, I had people accusing me all sorts of fucked up shit. But these are druggies, people. They're selfish. They don't understand and don't care how their lives affect others. I couldn't see my brother or any of my loved ones in Boulder, Colorado. And I needed help. The help that I got was to waste all of my money going to a therapist who wouldn't do anything. Nicole Peralta is her name. Now there's another lady that I was seeing. Her name was Tamara. She's from Region 1. She did something. She did more than something. She actually helped. But that's here in Nebraska. And when Tamara quit her job, well, all I had to look forward to was getting screwed. And I tried to keep a positive attitude. I busted my ass. The problem is, I'm not a human being to your society. I was finally able to get disability and get into housing, something that my dad had treated me like trash for forever. Almost 20 years, over 20 years of every conversation we had on his birthday, on Father's Day, no matter what, him treating me like shit because I don't have disability yet. Meanwhile, he wasn't helping me get disability, now was he? See, my dad doesn't deal with things in a decent fashion. He deals with things by assuming that he's right and screaming at you nonstop. He will scream and scream and scream and scream at you until you do what he wants. The fact is, when I screamed at people, it's for not doing what they said they would. I needed help, and I still do. But because I'm not able to take care of myself, it's okay to victimize me. Isn't that right? Isn't it? If I'm not capable of doing the things that you ask because I don't have the money because it was stolen from me, then I must be in the wrong, huh? If I'm not allowed to go to court to defend myself, I must be wrong, huh? If I'm not allowed to show evidence, then I must be wrong, huh? And that's the problem with America. Now, I helped to find people before Natalie was killed. Matter of fact, there were 3 people the day that Natalie disappeared that I was trying to help find. Mandy Singer's son, Shauna Sinclair's daughter, and Natalie Bollinger. Nobody should have to go through the things that I've gone through. Now, since then, finding people is even more important. And every time somebody goes missing, I get accused of killing them. Alicia Bollinger disappeared 3 different times. All 3 times I tried to help find her by making people aware that she was missing. She's not the only one. Right now they have a problem with Native Americans being murdered nationwide. Now I can't possibly be responsible for the murder of every Native who dies. I just can't. But because of the slander by Natalie Bollinger and her family, I get abused no matter what. People don't like that I speak out, but the fact is they shouldn't have done the things that they did to me. And instead of looking at the evidence, they jump to conclusions and they're fucking incessant. Right now, for trying to help find missing people, I've got a bunch of Native Americans up there in Montana who are accusing me of all sorts of stuff. Trying to accuse me of doing bad stuff to a young woman named Selena. Selena, not afraid. See, that's the thing, is that none of these people bothered to look it up. They keep accusing me of murdering Natalie. Like, really? Natalie's murderer is in prison. He is in prison for killing Natalie. So maybe you should pay attention to that instead of hate-mongering an innocent man. That's the thing. After Natalie disappeared, well, when Natalie disappeared, I'd been dealing with threats and harassment and assaults for over a fucking year. After Natalie disappeared, I dealt with 7 more months of it. 7 more months before having to do drastic shit because all of my money was being taken. I was still being assaulted. I was still having my life threatened, and nobody would do a goddamn thing about it. To this day, people continue to blow me off, not understanding how important a situation this is. After I got out of jail over that situation, yes, I actually threatened to kill the President of the United States, and I lit a vehicle on fire. And I did those in 2 different jurisdictions to try to force an outside agency like the FBI to look at the situation. I've literally made hundreds of calls to the FBI. They've never returned a single one. Officers outright lied through their fucking teeth repeatedly. They need to be forced to wear body cameras so the things that happen to me don't happen to people like me. So that's the thing about America. You don't go after the villains. You go after those who are easiest to victimize. And the homeless are a lot easier to victimize than the native people. Alicia Bollinger is the biggest contributor to all of this, because the fact is, Alicia Bollinger is the reason that all of this happened. Now, don't get me wrong, I accepted that phone that she gave me, and I could see that it was all busted to shit, but I didn't see that it was busted to shit until she handed it to me. She had already changed the number over from my old phone, so I couldn't exactly go back to it, and she quit her job 10 minutes after setting up my phone. This is stuff that she never bothered to tell you guys, and that's why I needed an honest day in court where I could show evidence. Police officers across the country have done everything in their power to threaten, harass, and intimidate me. You know what it's like when you try to tell an officer about the abuse you're taking and they laugh in your face? Maybe you should try doing your fucking job and investigating it. But they're not going to do that unless somebody actually takes an active role, because they call me mentally ill. It makes it okay for them to do whatever the fuck they want. I have no constitutional rights, so don't tell me about how these cowardly soldiers shooting foreign children in foreign countries is for my fucking rights. I have none, you piece of shit.